What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Career Mode. This is episode number 169, and we start today's episode off with our first Champions League game of the season against Sporting as they travel to take us on at Partners Prance. And of course, in the last episode, and as you'll see in just a moment's time, I did show you the Champions League group. We got Sporting, the Portuguese side, Roma, the Italian side, and Ajax, the Dutch side. And as I mentioned, all three of those teams, very, very decent teams indeed, very decent sides, but I still believe we should probably come out on top of the group come the end of the 6 games being played. And Sporting side is pretty decent. If you remember, in the second season we got to the Europa League semi-finals and they ended up beating us when we were managing West Bromwich Albion over 2 legs. They're a very, very decent side, Sporting, so I definitely know that there'd be a decent side and a hard one for us to face, but I still felt confident. We did have the majority of the first team playing out there, but there were quite a couple of absentees. One was Lacazette, the main man. I thought I'd give him a rest and let Higuain start this game, but it was Niang who actually had the first chance of the game in the 36th minute, cutting in from the right hand side, but his shot went wide and behind for a goal kick, so a good chance to break the deadlock, but it was still 0-0. However, from the goal kick, as Rui Patricio launched it long, we win the header and Cabella gets onto the ball, plays it through towards Gonzalo Higuain, and Higuain ends up hitting the post. So Higgs getting a start in this game, going very close there, hitting the woodwork, but unfortunately it was still a 0-0. And in the 47th minute here, a great chance to make it 1-0. Pastore finds Higuain, turns his man, finds Pastore. Pastore back on the ball for us here as the Argentine players link up. Pastore does find Remy Cabella, but his shot is well saved by Rui Patricio, and Sporting get the ball away. So still 0-0 in this game, but it was a very frustrating first half. And in the second half, I was looking for a bright start. That's exactly what was happening, but still the score was 0-0, only until the 52nd minute though, because Gonzalo Higuain beat his man with a reverse step over and ended up finessing the ball into the corner and making it PSG 1, Sporting Lisbon 0. So Higuain getting the goal. He's going to have to settle for a place on the bench, and when you're an 87 rated striker, you'd think that your name should be the first one on the team sheet week in, week out. But Higuain now is going to have to settle for a place on the bench. I prefer using Lacazette. It's been showing as well at the start of the season. What a start to the season he's had, Lacazette. So Higuain settling for a place on the bench, but whenever he does play, I'm still confident he'll score some goals, and he does make it 1-0 there. And literally directly from kickoff, Sporting gave the ball away, and it was Anthony Martial, or Marshall, never know how to pronounce it, who scores the goal. The reason I didn't show the substitution is because I brought on 2 changes, both Bovo and Martial. Some reason the Anthony substitution wasn't showed and Bovo's one was instead, but I showed you the tactics there. It actually happened directly after the goal by Higuain. They give the ball away from kickoff and the substitute scores seconds after coming on. So PSG 2, Sporting 0, and when you're a side coming away from home in a Champions League group stage tie, if you concede a goal, the one thing you don't want to do is concede again directly after that, because it's going to be so hard to get back in the game. And so following that, I couldn't really see Sporting doing much else. So 2-0 uphill, and a few minutes later we're through again, and again it's the man off the bench with the speed, going down the right hand side, playing a free ball towards Higuain, and well, what a miss that is. No real surprise he hits the deck there. Very bad miss by Higuain. It was my fault for putting too much power on the shot, but even so, you'd expect a striker of his finishing quality to at least put the ball on target, even if you do overcook the touch. But still, 2-0 even. But in the 72nd minute, as we work our way out the pitch here, Higuain, despite the miss, was looking like the most threatening player in the team. And as he rolls the ball out wide towards Marco Verratti here, he drills it across, and Higuain this time does keep his shot underneath the bar, and it goes into the back of the net for his second of the game. So Higgs makes it PSG 3, Sporting 0, and we are going to claim the 3 points and the victory in the first Champions League game, which we expected, to be honest. It was a frustrating, tense, tight first half. In the second half, it opened up for us, and we raced into a 3-goal lead. But in the 88th minute here, Sporting would grab themselves a goal back, and it came through Montero. So it was going to be nothing other than a consolation goal, but what a header it was by Montero. The ball went up in the air. I thought about coming out with Lloris because it looped up a little bit, but I thought, nope, I'll push him back, let him go back onto his line. But even so, it wouldn't have mattered whether I called him out or not, because that is a fantastic header by Montero, and it is 3-1. But it was how the game would finish. To be honest, Sporting didn't have too many chances. That was one of the very few they did. We limited them to shots outside the area, if nothing else, and that is why we did win the game by 3-1. So very, very pleased to get a win in that game, and again, deservedly so. The perfect start. Would have liked a clean sheet, but the 3 points was the most important thing, and that is a great way to start this Champions League group, and that is a brilliant opening game. And so following that, we have our second of 3 games of today's episode, back in Ligue 1 against Saint-Etienne here away from home. And Saint-Etienne, one of the more difficult sides to face in France. As you can see, they're sitting in 4th place after the opening 5 games with 11 points accumulated. So coming away to take them on, I felt this could be the game where we unfortunately failed to win for the first time this season in the league. But regardless, we still felt very confident we would have the first team back out there as well. So feeling confident of our chances, back with the first 11, and of course on the back of that win and the record we've had so far in the season, all competitions really, has been fantastic. So taking on Saint-Etienne, fancying our chances, but the first chance would fall to the home side here as they go down this right hand side and eventually cut back into the centre, and eventually the shot is taken after some nice build up and it goes just over the bar and behind for a goal kick. So Courgette couldn't keep the shot down, but what a fantastic goal it would have been after some nice intricate passing, but thankfully the shot did go over the bar. So still 0-0. From the goal kick we pass out from the back here, and as Niang takes it around his man down the right hand side, it's a great chance to make it 1-0. So I can see in a man in the centre, but in the end we don't need him because we Ronaldo chop, we heal the heel flick, we get a little bit lucky as the tackle was made, but Niang wins it back and ends up smashing the ball past the goalkeeper with his weaker left foot and celebrates in front of the travelling fans. So Etienne 0, Paris Saint-Germain 1, and in the Sporting game it took me a while to get going, it really did, but in this game the perfect start, 9 minutes in, already a goal to the good, that's exactly what we wanted, and then Bayern Niang gets his second goal in 3 games, I do believe it is, but regardless, Saint-Etienne 0, PSG 1, or maybe 4 games, but still 1-0 to PSG. In 12th minute they went close for a free kick which was headed on, but it went just wide of the post, and in the 20th minute here we have a goal kick, and as per usual pass out from the back, Lloris finding the left back Kurzawa, he picks out Eden Hazard and the Belgian slides it through towards Lacazette, who takes on Pogba, beats him with a quick little dummy, gets himself inside, but the shot is expertly saved by the goalkeeper. What a stop that is, and it is still 1-0. 12 minutes later though, Saint-Etienne are on the ball down his left hand side, and unfortunately for us a bit of sad news because Ashton Gut, one of our new signings, the glitched right back, gets himself an injury, and although he'd stay on the pitch for for about half an hour of in-game minutes, he would end up getting subbed off, and he is going to be injured with a sprained ankle for 3 weeks. So that's a bit of a shame. He's been a really good signing for us early on, looking very decent at right back, 86 overall, new player for us obviously. Unfortunately though, he is going to be out for 3 weeks, but Van der Wiel's a perfectly acceptable right back to play there, so there's no real worry for us. But regardless though, in the 44th minute Lloris makes a great save from a header which was flicked on from a corner, and from that we went on a break here. Eden Hazard down his left hand side, rolling the ball inside towards Lacazette. Lacazette's got Cabella, his main man, next to him. He picks him out, Cabella goes through the centre and makes it 2-0. So Cabella getting the goal, and it's really interesting, but whenever Cabella scores it always seems to be Lacazette who gets the assist, and vice versa for a lot of the time as well. Those two really do know how to work well with each other, and that was a nice little pass inside by Lacazette, and once Cabella beat the last man Pogba, no one else is going to catch up, and he ends up smashing it into the back of the net. So 6 goals already for our attacking midfielder. What a start he's having with assists and goals, and he does make us an Etienne 0, PSG 2. So Lacabella back on the score sheet again together, and it is 2-0. In the 68th minute though, Saint-Etienne went close, but a very good save by the goalkeeper, and then the block was made as well as we get the ball away. So a good save by Lloris, and we stay on course for a victory here with a 2-0 scoreline. And from that we broke again. No time to put the foot on the ball and just pass it around. We want to get some more goals. Niang slides it through towards Cabella down the left hand side. Really good chance here. Ronaldo chops around his man, but the shot is well saved, and Lacazette's follow-up header is also saved by the goalkeeper. So still Saint-Etienne 0, Paris Saint-Germain 2, and it was how the game would finish as well. So a 2-0 victory away from home. Again, I feel like they are one of the stronger sides in France, and it was a difficult game as well. They did have a couple of good chances. Lloris had to make a couple of good saves, but for the most part I felt as though we did deserve the win, and we got it as well. So very pleased with that. And a good performance. Obviously, the only bad news about in the game, the only bad thing that happened in the game really, was the injury to Ashton Gut, who did indeed sprain his ankle and will be out for 3 weeks, as you saw confirmation there. But Van der Wiel, 82 rated right back, he'll start the majority of the games whilst he's out. He'll only miss about 3 or 4 games anyway, and there's an international break after a few games too, so it's not a real worry for us. We're not bothered too much, and there you go. But Van der Wiel wouldn't start this game. In fact, a lot of players wouldn't start this game, as EA Guingamp came to take us on here at Parc des Princes. As you can see, I did rest a large percentage of players for this game in Ligue 1, and the reason being was quite simple. We had a game against Ajax in the Champions League in 2 days time, and to be honest, this game against this side, who have made a pretty decent start as well to the season, sitting in 5th place, I felt as though we'd probably get the result, and the Ajax game would be a bit more difficult for us. So I decided to rest all the players, and the first chance would fall to us in the 13th minute. David Luiz, one of those players coming in, denied a goal by a very good save after his header was well stopped by the goalkeeper. But in the 31st minute, EA Guingamp would take a bit of a shock lead as Schwartz flicks on a ball and eventually it's turned in the centre, and they do take the lead just past half an hour mark. So we've been very good defensively, only letting 1 goal so far this season in Ligue 1, but that's the second one, and it's a very, very good header by Sanker, who dives in the centre, and the number 10 does make it PSG 0, Guingamp 1. So a bit of a shock lead for the visitors there, and pretty poor defending really from Thiago Silva. You'd expect a centre-back of his quality to deal with that ball into the area, but instead, you know, it's probably my fault for poor positioning, but regardless, he didn't deal with it, and Guingamp did indeed take a shock lead. Cabella then went close for a free kick a few minutes later, which went just wide the post, and it was still 1-0. And past the hour mark, it was still 1-0 to the visitors. I just wasn't in the game. And again, because I rested the entire team, or, you know, the majority of the team, about 7 or 8 players from the team, you know, we were struggling, and I didn't really know who was going to do the job for us. But in the end, it wasn't one of our younger players who was getting a start in this game. It was one of the players who's going to be retiring at the end of the season. Ezekiel Lavetti getting his first goal of the season after Anthony went down the left-hand side here. The shot was saved by the goalkeeper after a double step over, but Lavetti dives in at the far post and heads it into the open goal. So 1-1, and we're back on level terms. It was a long time coming, but finally we did get ourselves the equaliser. Kevin Tavernier almost won us the game in the 88th minute, but his header hit the bar and was cleared away. And the game did finish 1-1, so shouldn't really be too surprised by the draw, really, with so many players getting rested and the away side making a good start to the season and looking in good form. But still disappointed to drop points for the first time in the league, and we'll just have to rectify that in the next episode. But as always, guys, a big thank you for watching the video. Really hope you have enjoyed it. If you have enjoyed the episode, then please do leave a like, and I'll see you for the next episode of Career Mode very soon.